Today we will solve certain problems on equations of motion. In the previous video we have studied about the uniform motion, velocity, displacement, uniform velocity, acceleration, etc. and the equations of motion also. There are three equations of motion which connects the initial velocity, final velocity, acceleration, time, etc. and they are these three equations are called equations of motion. Here v is the final velocity, u the initial velocity, a acceleration, that is uniform acceleration, t is the time interval in which the velocity of the object changes from u to v, s is the distance travelled in a time t. So these are the equations relating different unknown quantities. So in this problem, a train starts from rest and attains a velocity of 72 kilometers per hour in 5 minutes. Assuming that the acceleration is uniform, find the acceleration and the distance for attaining this velocity. Distance traveled in attaining this velocity. So a train starts from rest. That means initially it is at rest. Therefore, its initial velocity is 0. Initial velocity is denoted by u and u is equal to 0 and attains a velocity of 72 kilometers per hour in 5 minutes. Therefore, final velocity, that is v is equal to 72 kilometer per hour in 5 minutes. That is time interval is 5 minutes. Find the acceleration and the distance in attaining this velocity. So first of all we will write the data given in the problem, that is initial velocity is 0 because it has started from rest and it attained 72 km per hour. Therefore final velocity is 72 km per hour in time t. T is equal to 5 minutes. So observe the data given in the problem. Here initial velocity, final velocity. Final velocity is given in kilometer per hour. The units for velocity in SI system are meter per second. Therefore, we have to convert this kilometer per hour into meter per second. Therefore, V is equal to 72. 1 kilometer per hour is equal to 1000 meters by hour, 3600 seconds. So 2 zeros gets cancelled and 2 fives, 2 18s. So this is equal to 5 by 18 per second. 1 kilometer per hour is equal to 5 by 18 meter per second. So this is not 10, 5 by 18 meter per second. Kilometer per hour, right? 5 by 18 meter per second. Therefore, this is equal to 18 ones, 18 fours, 72, 4 fives, 20. So, 20 meter per second. So, final velocity is 20 meter per second and time is given in minutes. The unit for time in SI system is second. Therefore, we have to convert this minute also into seconds. So, each minute is equal to 60 into 60, which is equal to 300 seconds. U is 20 meter per second, t is equal to 300. First question, we have to find out the acceleration. So, A to find. So, which is the including initial velocity, final velocity, time and acceleration, the first relation. V is equal to u plus at. Therefore, using that relation, V is equal to u plus at, A is equal to, so we will convert A is equal to, by steps V minus u, taking this u to the left, V minus u is equal to, t to the left side, we get V minus u by t is equal to A, or A is equal to V minus u by t. Therefore, to v 20 meter per second minus 0 by t is 320 by 300 seconds. 2 ones 215 units for acceleration in SI system meter per second square. So acceleration is 1 by 15 meter per second square. In the next second question, the distance for attaining this velocity. The distance traveled by the train in attaining the final velocity. So we have to calculate the yes. So we can use either ut plus half at square or 2as is equal to v square minus u square. So we will use the first question direct s is equal to ut plus half at square. So s is equal to ut plus half a t square. u0, therefore u into t, 0 into anything is equal to 0, plus half a 1 by 15 into square. T is 300, so 300 square, that is equal to, plus this is equal to this much, half into 1 by 15 into 300 square. So 15 ones is 30, 0. 2 ones 2 ones 0. 300 into 10 is 1000. This is the units for distance traveled in SI system are meters. Therefore, the distance traveled by the train in 5 minutes is equal to 3000 meters. Now we can convert it into kilometers. Each 1000 meters is equal to 1 kilometer. Therefore, 3000 meters is equal to meters. Now even we can use 2as is equal to v square minus u square also. Let us find the distance traveled using the third equation also. So 2as is v square. V is 1 by 15 square minus u is 0, therefore 0 square 0. So this is 1 by 15. And s is equal to 1 by 15 into 1 by 2 into a. 2 into a is acceleration due to gravity. Is 1 by 15 meters square. So substituting the values in this equation, 2 into a is 1 by 15 into s is equal to v square. V is 20 meter per second. U square is 0. 20 into 20. So s is equal to 20 square 2 by 15. Coming to the other side, it becomes 15 by 2. So 2 ones, 2 tens. So this is 20 into 10, 200. 200 into 15, 200 into 15 is equal to 15 to 30, 2 zeros. So many meters. 3000 meters. 3000 meters is equal to 3 kilometers. So you can use any equation. S is equal to ut plus half at square or 2as is equal to v square minus u square. If we don't know the time, you can use this equation only. 2as is equal to v square minus u square. If the acceleration, final velocity and the initial velocity are known, the distance travelled by the time it attains the final equation can be calculated using this equation. If time is known, we can use the first equation. S is equal to ut plus half at square. If time is known and the final velocity is not known, we can use the second equation only. Next, second problem. A car accelerates uniformly from 18 km per hour to 36 km per hour in 5 seconds. Find the acceleration and the distance covered by the car in that time. So car accelerates uniformly from 18 km per hour to 36 km per hour. That means the initial velocity is 18 km per hour and the final velocity is 36 km per hour. We will convert the kilometer per hour into meter per second. Each 1 kilometer per hour is equal to 5 by 18 meter per second. Therefore 18 into 5 by 18 meter per second. So this is equal to 5 meter per second. Similarly 36 kilometer per hour is equal to 36 into 5 by 18. 18 ones, 18 twos, 5 twos, 10 meter per second. In 5 seconds, time interval is 5 seconds. Then find the acceleration and the distance covered by the car in that time. So first we will find the acceleration. So we know u, v, t and we have to find out a. So select an equation which is covered the 4 letters, which is connected the 4 letters. That is the first equation. V is equal to u plus a. So from this equation a is equal to v minus u by t. So v 10 meter per second minus u 5 meter per second by t 5 seconds. 10 minus 5 by 5 is equal to 1. Units for acceleration units for acceleration are meter per second square. Therefore, the acceleration of the car is 1 meter per second square. Next, distance covered by the car in that time. So, distance traveled we will take s is equal to ut plus half a t square. So, u 18, that is 5 meter into t, time is 5 seconds, plus half into a 1 into t square 5 square. So 5 is 25 plus 25 by 2, that is equal to 25 plus 12.5 is equal to 37.5 meters. 37.5 meters. Now let us calculate the distance travelled by the car during this interval using the third equation, that is 2as is equal to v square minus u square. 2as is equal to v square minus u square. 2 into a, acceleration is 1 meter per second square, and yes, we have to find out v square. V is the final velocity. We have given 10 meter per second. So v square 10 square minus u, initial velocity is 5. So 5 square. 2 into 1 s. So 2s is equal to 10 square 100 minus 5 square 25 is equal to 75. Or s is equal to 75 by 2, which is equal to 37.5, and the units for s in SI system are meters. Therefore distance travelled is equal to 37.5 meters. So we got the same answer. So in this case we can use either of the equations. Next question. The brakes applied to a car produce an acceleration of 6 meter per second square in the opposite direction to the motion. If the car takes 2 seconds to stop after the brakes are applied, calculate the distance it travels before it is stopped. Brakes apply చేసినప్పుడు యాక్సిలరేషన్ ఆపోజిట్ డైరెక్షన్లో ఉంటుంది. ఎందుకంటే బ్రేక్స్ అప్లై చేసినప్పుడు వెలాసిటీ స్టార్ట్స్ రెడ్యూసింగ్ and the car or vehicle stops after some time. Therefore, when brakes are applied, if the vehicle is moving in this direction and brakes are applied in the a force acts in the opposite direction, therefore brakes accelerates the vehicle in the opposite direction. That means the deceleration starts. Velocity starts reducing means acceleration will be in the negative sign, and the velocity starts reducing and the acceleration is minus, or acceleration acts in the opposite direction of motion. Therefore, the acceleration is taken as negative because it is opposite to the direction of the motion. 6 meters per second square. ఇప్పుడు ఏదైనా ఒక ప్రాబ్లమ్ సాల్వ్ చేసేటప్పుడు ఒక ఫార్ములాలో వాల్యూస్ అన్ని సబ్స్టిట్యూట్ చేస్తాం. వాల్యూస్ సబ్స్టిట్యూట్ చేసేటప్పుడు అన్నీ కూడా ఒకే సిస్టమ్ ఆఫ్ యూనిట్స్, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ అన్ని ఎస్ఐ సిస్టమ్ ఆఫ్ యూనిట్స్లో ఉన్నాయో లేదో చూస్తాం. అదేవిధంగా అవన్నీ కూడా ఒకే డైరెక్షన్లో ఉన్నాయో లేదో చూడాలి. ఇక్కడ మనము బాడీ ఈజ్ మూవింగ్ ఇన్ దిస్ డైరెక్షన్, ఆల్ ద వాల్యూస్ ఆర్ టేకన్ ఇన్ దిస్ డైరెక్షన్, వెలాసిటీ which is in this direction, but acceleration is in the opposite direction అని ఇచ్చారు. కాబట్టి యాక్సిలరేషన్కి నెగటివ్ తీసుకోవాలి, అంటే ఈ డైరెక్షన్లో తీసుకుంటే మైనస్ అవుతుంది, ఆపోజిట్ డైరెక్షన్ యాంటీ సైన్ తీసుకోవాలి. The car takes 2 seconds to start. కార్ ఆగిపోవడానికి 2 seconds పడుతుంది. It takes 2 seconds to stop after the brakes are applied. Calculate the distance traveled. ఎంత డిస్టెన్స్ ట్రావెల్ చేసి ఆగిపోయిందో కనుక్కోవాలి. సో ఇది ఫైనల్గా ఆగిపోయింది కాబట్టి దాని వెలాసిటీ, ఫైనల్ వెలాసిటీ 0 అన్నమాట. ఇనిషియల్ వెలాసిటీ ఏమి ఇవ్వలేదు. సో మనకి యాక్సలరేషను, టైము, ఫైనల్ వెలాసిటీ మాత్రమే తెలుసు. సో ఇక్కడ మనం ఫస్ట్ ఇనిషియల్ వెలాసిటీ తీసుకోవచ్చు. ద వెలాసిటీ విత్ విచ్ ది కార్ ఈస్ మూవింగ్ అట్ ద టైమ్ ద బ్రేక్స్ ఆర్ అప్లైడ్ క్యాల్కులేట్ చేయొచ్చు. ఎలాగంటే యూజింగ్ ద రిలేషన్ v ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు యూ ప్లస్ ఏటీ, v0 ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు యూ ప్లస్ ఏ మైనస్ 6 ఇంటూ టైమ్ 2 seconds. So this is equal to u minus 12 is equal to 0, or u is equal to 12 meter per second. అలా ఇనిషియల్ వెలాసిటీ కనుక్కొని నెక్స్ట్ s is equal to ut plus half at square ఫార్ములా యూజ్ చేయొచ్చు. సో నౌ సబ్స్టిట్యూటింగ్ దీస్ వాల్యూస్ ఇన్ దిస్ ఈక్వేషన్, u12 t 2 seconds plus half a minus 6 t square 2 square 2 square. So this is equal to 12 2s 24 plus 2 2s 4 by 2. సో ఒక 2 క్యాన్సిల్ చేద్దాం. ఇంకా మనకు minus 6 into 2 minus 12 that is equal to 24 plus or minus 12 is equal to 12. As this is distance traveled, the units are meters in exercise. Therefore, before coming to a stop, the car travels 12 meters of distance. Next problem. A stone is thrown upwards with a velocity of 5 meters per second. The acceleration during its motion is 10 meters per second square in downward direction. What will be the height attained and how much time will it take to reach there? A stone is thrown upwards like this. Stone is thrown vertically upwards with a velocity of 5 meters per second. Therefore, initial velocity of the stone is 5 meters per second. And its acceleration is 10 meters per second square downwards. Acceleration is downwards means earth attracts the stone downwards. So the acceleration is acceleration due to gravity. That is taken as 10 meters per second square. That is a downward. And it travels to a height up to which when its final velocity becomes 0. As the acceleration is downwards, its velocity gradually decreases and becomes zero. Then when its velocity becomes zero, it falls down due to the acceleration due to gravity or earth attractive force. So initial velocity 5 meter per second square and the acceleration is 10 meter per second square. As this is downwards and we are taking all the values upwards, this is taken as negative. Final velocity is 0. It travels upwards until its velocity becomes 0. So we have to find out the distance traveled, that is the height it reaches. This is the h. Height it reaches means h or s. So distance traveled and the time in which it reaches the height. So first if we take the relation 2as is equal to v square minus u square, 2 into a is equal to minus 10 into s, we have to find out. And v square, final velocity is 0, 0 square 0, minus u square, u is 5 meter per second, so u square is 5 square, or minus 2 into 10, 20, s is equal to minus 5 square, which is equal to 25. Minus minus gets cancelled, or s is equal to, from this s is equal to 25 by 20. 25 by 20, that is equal to 2 is 40, 25, 1.25. Or if we cancel it by 2, 2 tens to 12.5. So 12.5 by 10 is equal to 1.25. As this is the distance travelled, it is in meters. So distance travelled by the stone is 1.25 meters. So it travels upwards by 1.25 meters. And how much time will it take to reach the time? Let us find out t. So we can take any equation. Let us take the first equation. That is v is equal to u plus at. Final velocity 0 and the initial velocity is 5 plus a is minus 10 and t is t, we have to find out t. Or 0 is equal to 5 plus or minus 10 t, or 10 t plus 0, 10 t is equal to 5, or t is equal to 5 by 10, which is equal to 0.5, and the units for time are seconds in SI system. Therefore, it takes half second to reach that height.